I was talking to my friend Margaret the other day, lovely woman, sharp as a tack, and she mentioned how she does a crossword puzzle every morning with her coffee. Gotta keep the mind active, she said with a smile. And she's right. Puzzles like Sudoku and crosswords are great. They've been our go-to brain exercises for years. But here's the thing. If we really want to keep our minds sharp as we age, we've got to think beyond the puzzle page. Because here's what research is telling us. Our brains thrive on variety and challenge. Doing the same kind of mental exercise every day is like going to the gym and only ever doing bicep curls. Sure, your arms might get stronger, but what about the rest of you? So today I want to share 3 better ways to keep your mind sharp, methods that go beyond crosswords and Sudoku. These are simple, enjoyable, and most importantly, they work. And the best part? You might already be doing some of them without even realizing how good they are for your brain. Let's start with the first one, learning something completely new. Now, I know what you might be thinking. At my age, learn something new? But hear me out. Our brains love novelty. When we tackle something unfamiliar, whether it's picking up a musical instrument, trying a new language, or even mastering a recipe from a different culture, we're forcing our brains to form fresh connections. Think of it like exploring a new city. When you're in a familiar place, you don't really have to pay attention. You know every street, every turn. But when you're somewhere new, your brain lights up, noticing details, figuring out directions. That's what learning does for your mind. It doesn't have to be complicated either. Maybe you've always wanted to try painting, or you're curious about how to use that smartphone your grandkids keep talking about. The key is to pick something that feels just outside your comfort zone. Not so hard that it's frustrating, but not so easy that it's boring. And here's the beautiful part. It's never too late to start. I've met folks in their 80s taking their first piano lessons or finally learning to garden after years of thinking they didn't have a green thumb. The joy of discovery keeps the mind young. Now, the second way to sharpen your brain might surprise you. Movement. Yes, physical activity. But I'm not talking about running marathons or lifting heavy weights, unless that's your thing, of course. Something as simple as a daily walk, dancing to your favorite old tunes, or even Tai Chi can work wonders for your brain. You see, when we move, we're not just exercising our muscles, we're giving our brains a workout too. Physical activity increases blood flow, which means more oxygen and nutrients are delivered to your brain. It also encourages the release of chemicals that help brain cells grow and communicate better. Ever notice how a good walk can clear your head? That's your brain thanking you. And if you can combine movement with a little mental challenge, like learning a new dance step or practicing yoga poses, even better. It's like a 2-for-1 deal for your brain health. Now, before we move on to the third method, let me ask you this. When was the last time you had a really good laugh with friends? Because that's where we're headed next. The power of connection and joy in keeping your mind sharp. But we'll save that for just a little later. There's something truly special about sharing a good laugh with friends. The kind that makes your sides ache and your eyes water. And as it turns out, that laughter isn't just good for the soul, it's fantastic for your brain. That brings me to our third and maybe most enjoyable way to keep your mind sharp. Staying socially engaged. Now, I'm not just talking about the occasional phone call or polite chat with the neighbors, though those are lovely too. I mean meaningful connections, conversations that make you think, outings that spark joy, or even playful debates that get your neurons firing. Studies have shown that seniors who stay socially active have better memory, sharper focus, and even a lower risk of cognitive decline. Why? Because every conversation is a mental workout. You're listening, responding, interpreting tone, recalling stories. It's like a full brain exercise disguised as a good time. And here's the best part. It doesn't have to be complicated. Join a book club, meet a friend for coffee, play cards with your grandchildren, or even volunteer somewhere that gets you interacting with others. If getting out is tough, technology can help. Video calls, online forums, or even social media can keep those connections alive. The key is to engage, share, and enjoy the back and forth that keeps your mind nimble. Now let's talk about something you might not expect. The power of curiosity. This is our fourth method, and it's one of the simplest yet most overlooked tools for brain health. Think about the last time you saw or heard something that made you stop and wonder. Maybe a documentary about space, an article on an unusual historical event, or even a question about how something works. That little spark of curiosity, it's like fuel for your brain. Curiosity pushes us to ask questions, seek answers, and explore ideas, all of which stimulate different parts of the brain. Unlike passive activities like watching predictable TV shows, curiosity forces us to think. Try this. Next time you come across something interesting, a bird in your garden, a news headline, an old photo, let yourself dive deeper. Look it up, ask someone about it, or just ponder it for a while. Cultivating that sense of wonder keeps your mind active and engaged in the world around you. And here's a bonus. Curiosity often leads to learning, which takes us right back to our first point. See how these methods all connect? Now, I've saved one of the most important for last, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Because first, I want you to think about how these ideas fit into your life. Maybe you're already doing some of them without realizing how much good they're doing for your brain. Or maybe there's one that feels like the perfect next step. Either way, stay with me, because the final piece of the puzzle is something we all need, yet so many of us neglect. That brings us to our final and perhaps most vital way to keep your mind sharp: prioritizing rest and reflection. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Rest. How does sitting around help my brain? But here's the truth. A well-rested mind is a strong mind. Sleep isn't just downtime. It's when your brain sorts through memories, consolidates learning, and even clears out toxins that can lead to cognitive decline. And it's not just about nighttime sleep. Short breaks, mindful pauses, and even daydreaming play a crucial role in mental sharpness. Think about it like this. If your brain were a garden, sleep and quiet reflection would be the water and sunshine helping everything grow. Without them, even the healthiest plants, your memories, focus, and creativity start to wither. So if you've been skimping on rest, thinking you'll just power through, it might be time to rethink that approach. A short afternoon nap, 10 minutes of closing your eyes in a quiet room, or simply sitting with a cup of tea while letting your mind wander can make a world of difference. And speaking of reflection, let's talk about mindfulness. Not as some trendy buzzword, but as a simple, timeless practice. Taking a few moments each day to pause, breathe, and notice the present moment can reduce stress, which is terrible for brain health, and improve focus. You don't need to sit cross-legged for hours. Just try this. Next time you're eating a meal, really taste it. Notice the textures, the flavors, or when you're outside, take in the sounds around you. These small acts of presence keep your brain engaged in the here and now, which strengthens cognitive resilience. Now let's tie it all together. We've talked about learning new things to challenge your brain, moving your body to boost blood flow, staying socially connected to keep your mind agile, nurturing curiosity to spark mental growth, and finally, giving your brain the rest it needs to thrive. The beauty of these methods? They don't just sharpen your mind, they make life richer, more joyful, and more meaningful. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one of these strategies to focus on this week. Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been curious about, inviting a friend over for a lively chat, or simply setting aside 10 quiet minutes each morning to let your mind breathe. Small steps lead to big changes. And remember, you're not just maintaining your brain, you're honoring a lifetime of wisdom and creating space for more years of clarity and joy. That's something worth celebrating. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one way you keep your mind active that brings you happiness? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips on living your best life at any age. Here's to a sharper, brighter, and more vibrant you, today and every day.